Hi everyone, and welcome back into another video of Matt Sports Talk. So in this video, we're recapping all the games from the women's side of things. And then our first matchup takes us to Goshen, Indiana, where Mount Vernon Nazarene face off against Goshen. And Mount Vernon, the winners here, 70-60. The Maple Leafs have been eliminated from postseason contention. MVNU still hanging on to postseason hopes, and the only way Mount Vernon Nazarene will be the 8th seed and get that final league playoff spot will be with a win against Taylor at home on Saturday, as well as a grace loss to Goshen. And that will be the only way MVNU would officially get that last playoff spot. So looking at the stats for Mount Vernon, they had just a career game from Lily Shepard, 25 points, 7 of 15 shooting, 5 of 6 from deep, 6 of 7 at the line. She had 7 assists, 1 rebound, and 2 steals. Only 2 points for Angela Roshak with 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal. You got 9 points for Abigail Hardwick, 2 of 2 shooting. In fact, she did not miss a shot. 2 of 2 shooting, 1 of 1 from deep, 4 of 4 at the line, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. You got 6 points for Melody Bluebaugh, 2 of 7 shooting, which is all from beyond the arc. 7 rebounds, 4 assists for her. You had 6 points for Kylie Leibacher, 3 of 7 shooting. She also had 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal. And then off the bench, you had Olivia Skillings with 5 points. 2 of the 5 were at the free throw line, though. 1 assist and 2 steals. You had 7 points for Naomi Kaib, 3 of 5 shooting, 1 of 2 from deep. She had 2 rebounds and 2 assists. Only 2 points for Jenna Brumbaugh in just 3 minutes of action, 1 of 1 shooting. So hopefully she did not get injured. We hope and pray that she's okay. And then you had 8 points for Anna Swisshelm, 3 of 7 shooting, 2 of 4 at the line, 3 rebounds for her. And MVNU shot really well from the field at 46 and really good from 3 at 55. And they were really good at the free throw line as well, converting 14 out of 17 for 82. And meanwhile, for Goshen, they didn't shoot the ball bad from the field at 43, but they were just really struggled from 3 at just 8.3%, converting 1 out of 12. And they were really good, and they really struggled at the free throw line as well, converting 9 out of 16 for 56%. And leading the way for Goshen was Ava Egoff with 17 points, 7 of 14 shooting, 3 of 3 at the line with 2 assists and 5 steals. Really good to see that. You had 6 points for Carrie Heiler, 2 of 9 shooting, 1 of 5 from deep, 1 of 2 at the line with a steal plus a rebound. Kyla Foster with 9 points, 13 rebounds with nearly a double-double for her, just needed 1 more point. 4 assists, 1 steal for her, 4 of 10 shooting. And then Lillian Knoll, 12 points, 5 of 9 shooting with 3 assists and 1 block. And then off the bench, you had Policia Islam, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, did not score. 2 points for Ziane Finessi, 1 of 1 shooting with 1 steal. 4 points for Nyasha Goss, 2 of 2 at the line with 1 assist. 10 points for Sarah Elfrey, 5 of 6 shooting with 8 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, 3 blocks. Really good to see that. And that was your matchup there. The next matchup takes us to Upland, Indiana, where Spring Arbor, number 16 Spring Arbor, visited receiving votes Taylor, and Spring Arbor, the winners here. And this was a really close game. Like, Spring Arbor got out to an excellent start, and then Taylor made it a game, actually had a 1-point lead at halftime, and Spring Arbor put the game away late in the third quarter, and that carried over to the fourth quarter, 80-59 the win here. And meaning for Spring Arbor, they officially have locked no worse than that number 3 seed, and more than likely, actually, yeah, they've definitely clinched for number 3 seed. They cannot get any higher, because even if they upset St. Francis on Saturday, St. Francis would hold the common opponent tiebreaker over Spring Arbor with sweeping Marion, with splitting with Marion. I stand corrected. St. Francis split with Marion, and Spring Arbor got swept by Marion. So St. Francis would get that common opponent tiebreaker over Spring Arbor. So Spring Arbor officially is that number 3 seed in the Crossroads League tournament, and they will either host Bethel or Indiana Wesleyan next Tuesday night up in Spring Arbor, Michigan. And I'll dive into that, to more details on that coming up momentarily. 80-59, Spring Arbor, the winners here. And for Spring Arbor, you had 20 points for Ashley Weller, 7 of 10 shooting, 2 of 3 from deep. She had 2 rebounds and 1 steal. 13 points for Emma Smyska, 5 of 5 shooting. In fact, she didn't miss a shot. 1 of 1 from deep, 2 of 2 at the line, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. 15 points for Haven Chapman, 7 of 17 shooting, 1 of 2 at the line, 7 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals. Only 3 points for Elena Kolesa, but she had 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1 steal, though. So really good numbers there. And then 10 points for Megan Zeitz, 4 of 10 shooting, 1 of 1 from deep, 1 of 2 at the line with 7 rebounds and 1 steal. Off the bench, you had Elena Blumberg, 2 minutes of action, no statistics. 3 minutes of action, Lexi Linder, no statistics. 4 points for Madison Socini with 1 rebound, 1 assist. And 3 minutes of action, Rachel Reichard, no statistics. You also had 9 points for Ryland Goodwin, 4 of 6 shooting, 1 of 3 from deep, 1 rebound and 2 assists plus a steal. You had 4 points for Aubrey Crockett, 2 of 3 shooting with 4 rebounds, 1 assist. And then 2 points for Aubrey Calloway in 6 minutes of action with 1 rebound. And Spring Arbor shot really well from the field at 53, okay from 3 at 38, and decent at the free throw line, albeit they could have used a little bit of improvement in that category. 9 out of 14 for 64%, but still not too terribly bad. And then for Taylor shot 40 from the field, so not bad there at all. Really struggled from 3 at just 11%, 2 out of 18, and they were excellent at the free throw line, converting 13 out of 14 for 92.9%. The big difference here for Taylor, they were without their star freshman guard, Casey Warfel. I did see some of the live stream in the last few minutes of the fourth quarter. She was on the bench, sitting next to the other assistant coaches, and I could not tell if she had a leg boot on her left leg. I could not tell by watching the live stream. But if that's the case, then maybe she's out for the rest of the year. We obviously hope and pray that's not the case because she's Taylor's best player. But obviously, maybe she was just being rested until the league tournament coming up next Tuesday when they are solely the 7 seed, and they are officially have locked no worse than the 7 seed. So they will either be going to St. Francis or Marion next Tuesday night, and it depends on Saturday. Now, if Marion beats Huntington on Saturday, then Taylor would be going up to St. Francis next Tuesday night at 7 p.m., where the first time they played at St. Francis, they lost by 18 points and only shot 25% from the field. So obviously they'll be looking to definitely improve on that coming up. So for the final home game for Taylor for this year, barring massive upsets in the league tournament, you had 19 points from Marissa Trout, 6 of 13 shooting, 1 of 5 from deep. She was 6 of 6 at the line. 2 rebounds for her. You had 10 points for Emma Anselet, 3 of 12 shooting, 4 of 4 at the line, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 blocks. Really, really good balanced numbers there. 7 points for Quinn Kelly with 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block. 7 points for Maddie Allen. 3 of the 7 were at the free throw line, though. She also had 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, and 2 blocks. Really, really good to see that. And then 4 points for Emma Foll, 2 of 5 shooting, 6 rebounds, 2 assists for her. Off the bench, 6 points for Selena Blount, 3 of 5 shooting, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, and 3 blocks. Really, really good to see that. She's obviously, by far, she's previously has set the Taylor single season record for most blocks. And then you also had 2 points for Katie Moyer in 5 minutes of action with a steal. And then Callie Almond, 1 minute of action, no statistics. Kaylin Bunch, 1 minute of action, no statistics. 6 minutes of action, Micaiah Musselman with 4 points, 2 of 2 shooting with 1 rebound. And that was your matchup there. The next matchup takes us to Huntington, Indiana, where number 7 St. Francis went to Huntington, and it was all St. Francis here, 85-47. And really, now the first time these two teams met this year at St. Francis won by 22 points. This was way different this time. And for St. Francis, they officially have clinched no worse than a number 2 seed. They still can get to the number 1 seed with a win against Spring Arbor on Saturday and a Huntington upset win over Marion. And that's the only way St. Francis would then jump to the number 1 seed in the league tournament. If Marion wins against Huntington, even if St. Francis beats Spring Arbor, St. Francis would officially be that number 2 seed. For Huntington, they actually have slipped to the number 5 seed right now because of Bethel's win last night over Grace. Bethel holds the head-to-head tiebreaker over Huntington. So for Huntington to be the 4 seed, they either need a win again, or they either need their second win this year against Marion on Saturday in Indianapolis, or the only other scenario for Huntington to be the 4 seed outside of that would be they would need Indiana Wesleyan to beat Bethel at IWU on Saturday, and then that is the only other scenario. Huntington would be the number 4 seed. If that does happen, Huntington would be the 4 seed, Indiana Wesleyan would be the 5, and Bethel would fall down to the 6. If Bethel wins that game on Saturday, even if Huntington beats Marion, then Bethel would be that number 4 seed because of the head-to-head tiebreaker. Huntington would be the 5, and Indiana Wesleyan would be the 6. If Bethel wins, even if Bethel wins against IWU and Huntington loses to Marion, it would stay the same. Bethel would be the 4, Huntington the 5, IWU the 6. If IWU wins that game, they would be the 5. Bethel would fall down to the 6 and would go to Spring Arbor, which is a team that they just beat in Mishawaka last week. At least I think it was last week. So again, and Huntington would be the 4 seed in that scenario. So, and now for IWU, they also they desperately need a win against Bethel on Saturday to remain alive in the national tournament hunt in terms of a potential at-large bid. Again, I'm not sure exactly if they would even get it. It's hard to say. It's going to come down to the wire, that is for sure. And of course for IWU, you know, they are officially on the bubble, and for Taylor right now would more than likely be out of the national tournament, meaning the only teams that would be in would be Huntington and IWU, at least in terms of the bubble. Again, that would not be a guarantee. And for Bethel, if the only way Bethel would get in a national tournament is even if Bethel upsets IWU on Saturday and then loses in the first round of the league tournament to Spring Arbor, I just do not think that would be enough for Bethel to get in. Now, if Bethel were to beat IWU on Saturday and, let's say, either beat Huntington again on Tuesday or upset Spring Arbor again on Tuesday night in Spring Arbor, then I think in that scenario, I think if Bethel wins the next 2 games, I think they would definitely be in the national tournament. So again, that's your updated view of that. So looking at the stats for St. Francis last night, you had 13 points for Isabella Gizzi, 6 of 10 shooting, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. You had 13 points for Taylor Fordyce, 5 of 6 shooting, 3 of 4 from deep, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 steals. Only 2 points for Julia Mantala. And then 11 points for Renna Schweiderman, 5 of 13 shooting, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. Only 8 points for Callie Gregory, 3 of 7 shooting, 2 of 6 from deep. She had 6 rebounds and 1 steal. And then off the bench, you had Samaya Stout with 6 points, 3 of 4 shooting with 1 rebound, 1 assist, 4 steals, and a block. It's really, really good to see that. 12 points for Addison Bausman, and for Bausman, she is a freshman, and I watched her play in the last several minutes of the fourth quarter. She is going to be an excellent, excellent point guard for St. Francis moving forward if she sticks around. She was 2 of 2 at the line as well, 4 of 8 shooting, 2 of 3 from deep, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 steal. 8 points for Diona Craig, 3 of 3 shooting, 1 of 1 at the line, 1 of 1 from deep, also with a rebound. 2 points for Ashley Cox, and 6 minutes of action with a steal. And then Allison Chu in 15 minutes of action had an assist. Emma Royce had 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal. Abby Stoddard, 1 minute of action, no statistics. And Rachel Harshman, 13 minutes of action, 10 points, 4 of 5 shooting, 1 of 1 from deep, 1 of 1 at the line, 5 rebounds, 1 steal. And St. Francis shot 52 from the field, 41 from 3. It's really good numbers there. 5 of 9 at the charity stripe for 55%. Meanwhile, for Huntington, you had 10 points for Kendra Sheets, 3 of 6 shooting, 1 of 3 from deep, 3 of 4 at the line, 2 assists, 1 steal. 3 points for Annika Nelson with 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and a block. 7 points for Tegan Akers, 2 of 2 at the line, 2 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block for her. You had 5 points for Addie Shank, 9 rebounds plus a steal, and only 6 points for Liv Raby. 2 of 4 shooting, 2 of 3 at the line, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, and 2 blocks. Really, really good to see that out of a junior center from Loveland, Ohio. And off the bench, Izzy Shepard did not score, but she had 1 rebound, 1 assist, and 1 steal, though. 3 points for Peyton Hartsoe with 2 rebounds, 1 assist. Kendall Yoakum, 13 points off the bench, 4 of 12 shooting, 4 of 11 of that was from deep, 1 of 1 at the line with 3 rebounds. And then Lauren Merritt off the bench did not score, but she had 4 rebounds, 1 assist, and 2 blocks, though. And Huntington really struggled shooting at 27, struggled from 3 at 23, and they were slightly better at the free-throw line, converting 9 out of 14 for 64. And that was your matchup there. The next matchup takes us to Mishawaka, Indiana, where Bethel hosted Grace, and it was all Bethel here from the very beginning. 86-61, the final score. And looking at the stats for Grace, none of their starters were in double figures. You had Morgan Haupt with 7 points, 3 assists, 2 steals, 1 rebound. 7 points for Maddie Pointer, 3 of 6 shooting. She had 1 rebound, 1 assist, and a steal. Only 2 points for Kate Thomas. That was at the free throw line, though. 1 rebound, 1 assist. 5 points for Becca Longenbaugh, 2 of 8 shooting. She had 4 rebounds and 1 block. 6 points for Braylon Terrell, which now 2 of the 6 were at the free throw line, though. And she also had 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal. And then you had off the bench Emma Sperry with 13 points, 5 of 16 shooting, 2 of 8 from deep. She had 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, and 1 block. Really, really good balanced numbers there. 5 minutes of action, Abby Ritzema did not score, but she had 1 rebound, 1 assist. 2 points for Molly Long in 2 minutes of action with a steal. You had 3 points for Paula Fernandez, 1 of 2 shooting, 1 of 2 at the line with 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. And then Ava Yordi, 7 minutes of action, had a rebound. And then you had 16 points for Becca Gert, 4 of 10 shooting, 1 of 2 from deep, 7 of 10 at the line. 9 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal. And then Riley Wetz did not score, but she had 2 rebounds, 1 assist. And Grace really struggled shooting at 31. mightily struggled from 3 at 20, and they were okay at the free throw line, converting 15 out of 24 for 62. Meanwhile, for Bethel, they were way better from the field at 48, better from 3, albeit by not a lot, at 30. And they were equally not as good at the free throw line, converting 16 out of 26 for 61. And leading the way forward, and Bethel had some really good balanced scoring. 16 points for Jasmine Smith with 12 rebounds, 6 of 10 shooting, 4-6 for the line with 1 assist and 2 blocks. 13 points for Olivia Nickerson, 4 of 8 shooting, which was all from beyond the arc. 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal. 14 points for Isabel Scales, 3 of 8 shooting, 1 of 3 from deep, 7 of 8 at the line, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 block. 5 points for Isabella No, 2 of 5 shooting, 1 of 3 from deep, 7 assists, 3 rebounds for her. 15 points for Mariah Claywell in what could be her final home game of the year. We'll have to see how the Crossroads League tournament plays out, depending on if they win that game Saturday against Indiana Wesleyan. 15 points for Mariah Claywell, 6 of 10 shooting, 3 of 4 at the line, with 3 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 steals, and 1 block. It's really, really good to see that. And then off the bench, you had 2 points for Hannah Ruddle with 4 rebounds, 1 assist. 2 points for Jocelyn Marshall with 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 steal. Faith Fleetwood, 3 minutes of action, no statistics. Allison Metzger, 2 minutes of action, no statistics. You had 8 points for Justice Williams, 4 of 9 shooting, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal. 11 points for Love Rain Gaskins in just 13 minutes. 5 of 8 shooting with 5 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 block. And then Dominique Stilley, 4 minutes of action, no statistics. And Annabelle Wilhite, 2 minutes of action, no statistics. And that was your matchup there. The final matchup takes us to Lucky Arena in Marion, Indiana, where number 4 Marion hosted receiving votes Indiana Wesleyan. And honestly, I know that when you look at the box score and you see Marion winning by 16, 69-53, then you might think, oh, well, that means that Indiana Wesleyan, they're back to struggling, they're back to the inconsistencies. That is not the case, because Indiana Wesleyan at one point was only down 6. They trailed by as much as, I believe, 13 or 14, had it down to 6 points. And then they did not make a shot. They only made 1 shot in the fourth quarter outside of free throws, shooting just 22% in the fourth quarter. And obviously that made all the difference there. And then, of course, they played the foul game in the last minute and a half, and Marion converted pretty much, literally just about, I think they converted all the free throws down the stretch, actually, to ice the game. And then, so for Indiana Wesleyan, tough loss, but just like the first, honestly, I think it's a good loss, because the first time they played Marion, they lost by 38 points. And really, if you exclude the free throws in this game, they only lost the game by 6 points. So, it only would have been like 7 or 8 points. So, obviously, technically losing by only 7 or 8, that obviously looks a lot better to the selection show committee for the national tournament purposes, especially because you only lost to number 4 in the country by under 10 points. Marion was a 10-point favorite going into the game, so obviously Indiana Wesleyan, they covered the spread and were technically only lost by single digits. So again, excellent loss for the Wildcats. And now for Saturday, final home game of the regular season, and really the final game in Lucky Arena for IWU women's basketball. So a big game on Saturday against Bethel. And obviously you want to win your final game at home that you'll ever have, and more than likely in Lucky Arena this year, not just for the seniors, but you also want to win your final game at home in terms of a potential at-large bid into a national tournament. It definitely would help them if they could win that game on Saturday. Of course, I'll be there. Really looking forward to that. Definitely going to bring the extra juice, and it's going to be an amazing day. And of course, I'll be attending something afterwards. Super excited about that. So it is going to be quite a memorable day on Saturday. It's my most favorite day of the year, every single year on senior day. And yes, and sometimes I do tear up a little bit every single senior day. So again, it is my most favorite day of the year, most special day of the year. Super excited about being over there on Saturday. And we're supposed to have really nice weather, so that makes it even better, right? Even though it's going to, I think, be in the upper 30s, but still not too terribly bad. So looking at stats for the game last night, you had 15 points for Abby McNally. She had 9 rebounds, so not quite a double-double. 6 of 10 shooting, 1 of 1 from deep, so really it's uncharacteristic of her. In fact, I think that was her first made triple of the whole entire season. I could be wrong on that. I'm pretty sure, though. 2 of 4 at the charity stripe for her. I mentioned the 9 rebounds. She also had 3 assists, 1 steal, and 2 blocks. Really good numbers there. 6 points for her sister Kylie. 3 of 8 shooting, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. 5 points for Madison Bailey. Struggled shooting at just 2 of 11, but she had 5 rebounds, 7 assists, and 1 steal. Taylor Double just lit it up for the Lady Knights. 18 points, 8 of 16 shooting, 2 of 6 from deep, 1 rebound, 2 assists, 2 steals. Only 2 points for Olivia Faust, 1 of 4 shooting. She had 2 rebounds, 1 assist, and 4 steals, though. So really, really good numbers there. And off the bench, Aubrey Frank in 6 minutes of action, no statistics. Kennedy Coleman, 7 minutes of action, had 2 rebounds and 3 assists. 6 points for Eva Fisher in 12 minutes of action. Now 4 of the 6 were at the free throw line, though. 3 rebounds and 1 steal. Only 2 points for Emily Grimm. That was at the free throw line. 1 rebound for her. And 15 points for Kenna Kirby. 6 of 9 shooting. 3 of 6 from deep. 2 rebounds and 2 steals. Marion shot 44 from the field. It's really, really good numbers there. 35 from 3. Obviously not great, but obviously not great. But they could have used a little bit more improvement, though, in that category. 9 out of 15 at the line for 60%, only 13 turnovers for Marion compared to 25 for the Lady Wildcats, and obviously that is the most free throws Indiana Wesleyan has committed, the 3rd highest this year, tying also 25 in a home game against Grace January 10th, and the most the Wildcats have committed was 30 up at Spring Arbor back on February 7th. Now, the Wildcats didn't shoot the ball bad either from the field at 41, and they were worse from 3 at 28, and they were slightly worse at the free throw line, converting 7 out of 12 for 58. But obviously, if there is a game where you struggle, if there's a game where you struggle, you would rather it be a struggling game against Marion as opposed to Bethel on Saturday, that is for sure. So obviously, I expect the Lady Wildcats to come out firing on all cylinders on Saturday. I know they can do it. It's going to be an amazing, amazing game. Now, for the Wildcats, and really outside of Ayla Krieger, there was really no balanced scoring in terms of offense, but Ayla Krieger put the whole team on her back. The young freshman, 29 points, 11 of 27 from the floor, 3 of 12 from deep, 4 or 5 at the free throw line, though, so she was really good there, and she had 9 rebounds. And then Mila Browning did not score, but she had 7 rebounds, 2 assists, and 3 steals, though. Now, obviously, foul trouble was also played a major factor. You had 4, of course, Addie Hovey ended with 4 fouls. Kylie Bettinger, Mila Browning, Ayla Krieger all with 3. Haley Amy had 4. Tori Thompson had 3. So obviously, pretty much all your best players were in foul trouble. So obviously, that that definitely, kind of affected the game there. And then for Bettinger, 6 points, 2 of 5 shooting, 4 rebounds, and 1 assist. 8 points for Addie Hovey, 3 of 4 shooting, 2 of 2 at the line. She had 4 rebounds, 1 assist, and 2 steals. So really good to see that out of the freshman. Jade Hovey, 5 points, 2 of 7 shooting, 1 of 3 from deep. And for Jade, of course, she'll play in her final home game more than likely on Saturday, barring something crazy in the league tournament. And of course, for Jade, everybody thought she'd come back next year with a 5th year of eligibility, but she will be coming back as the next graduate assistant on the women's basketball team at Indiana Wesleyan. So super excited about that. She's going to make an excellent coach, and that is for sure. And of course, I learned that after listening to a podcast interview, I believe it was yesterday, that was recorded last week where she talked about that. So again, super excited for Jade, and she is going to make an excellent coach. And then of course for Jade, she also had 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals to go along with that, with those 5 points, I should say. And then off the bench, you had Haley Amy with 5 points, 2 of 2 shooting, 1 of 3 at the line, 1 rebound, 1 assist. Tori Thompson, 8 minutes of action, had 2 rebounds. 2 minutes of action, Corinne Grivey, no statistics. 4 minutes of action, Ellie Kelleher, no statistics either. Now, for Kelleher and Grivey, they both looked perfectly okay. I watched part of the game back last night when they went back to the bench. Obviously, maybe for head coach Ethan Whaley, maybe the lineup that he had in, he was probably going to more than likely just ride with that the rest of the game. Obviously, because you want to keep Grivey and Kelleher healthy, especially because you're going to need them on Saturday against Bethel. And that was your matchup there. So previewing the games for Saturday, you'll have Taylor at Mount Vernon Nazarene, Bethel at Receiving Votes Indiana Wesleyan, America's Game of the Week, number 16 Spring Arbor at number 7 St. Francis. You'll have Goshen at Grace, and Receiving Votes Huntington at number 4 Marion. Marion with a win. Of course, I mentioned all the playoff scenarios earlier. Marion 15-2, the 1 seed. St. Francis the 2 seed, 14-3. Spring Arbor the 3 seed at 13-4. Bethel and Huntington 10-7 in terms of conference. Bethel, though, holding that head-to-head tiebreaker. Indiana Wesleyan the 6 seed right now at 9-8. Taylor officially that 7 seed at 7-10. Grace, Mount Vernon Nazarene fighting it out for the last playoff spots at 3-14. And Goshen eliminated at 1-16. So that is an updated view of all of that. So if you did enjoy this video, please either like, comment, or subscribe. Any one of those options helps me out greatly. I truly appreciate any feedback that you may provide me. And I'm super, super excited to be back with you on Sunday, recapping all the games from Saturday. Because there is, and of course, not just that, but when I recap the games from Saturday on Sunday, of course, I'll get you set up and prepared for the start of postseason play for both the men and the women, previewing all of the opening round matchups as well. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And then Monday, we'll have our second to last RPI ratings come out. Again, I'm super excited about that, and I'll be back with you then as well. And then on Monday, of course, I'll talk about more on Sunday and Monday, especially what the plan is next week in terms of future episodes. Of course, we'll have the quarterfinal games for both the men and the women, and then, of course, the semifinal games next weekend. And then we get into the first week of March when things are really, really going to get exciting. Please subscribe to my channel down below so you do not miss out on any of it. It's going to be absolutely, absolutely amazing, and I'm super, super excited about all of it. Thanks so much for tuning into this video. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you Sunday, recapping all the games from Saturday and getting you set up for the Crossroads League tournament next week. God bless.